The story opens with Steve, now an adult, narrating his journey. As a child in the 1980s, he was obsessed with the forbidden mines on the outskirts of his town. Children weren't allowed near them, but the mystery always called to him. Years later, tired of his dead-end job, Steve finally abandons his mundane life to chase that childhood dream. Upon gaining access to the mines, Steve makes a remarkable discovery: an ancient artifact known as the Orb of Dominance. When paired with a mystical crystal he finds deeper within, the orb grants him access to the Overworld, a fantastical realm where he can build anything he imagines using materials he gathers. There, he meets Dennis, a fierce but loyal wolf. Though initially aggressive, Dennis quickly warms up to Steve and becomes his steadfast companion. Together they construct sprawling masterpieces and live in a world full of wonder, freedom, and creation. But their peace doesn't last. One day, Steve stumbles across the ruins of a mysterious structure. Driven by curiosity, he restores the ruins, unknowingly activating a portal to a dark and dangerous dimension, the Nether. Unlike the Overworld, the Nether is a realm devoid of light, joy, or imagination. It is ruled by Malgasa, a bitter sorceress who once dreamed of becoming a performer, but whose ambitions were crushed by her own father and the other piglins. In her rage, she turned to darkness. Malgasa steals the Orb of Dominance, intent on plunging the Overworld into eternal shadow, a world where light cannot exist and the piglins can finally thrive. Steve and Dennis manage to steal back the orb, but during the escape, Steve is recaptured. With little time left, he entrusts Dennis with the orb and crystal, ordering him to flee to the real world and hide them where the piglins can never reach. Years pass. Garrett, a former video game champion turned garbage man, runs a quirky nostalgia shop. He's stuck reliving his glory days and now faces eviction. Hoping to strike gold, he attends a storage unit auction hosted by his friend Daryl, hoping to find an old Atari Cosmos console. But instead of treasure, he finds only a dusty box containing the orb and the crystal. Frustrated and disheartened, he has a meltdown in front of everyone. Elsewhere, Natalie and her younger brother Henry are moving to a new town called Chuglis after the recent loss of their mother. While Natalie takes a job managing social media at the local potato chip factory, Henry is skeptical about the town, especially after reading bad reviews online. Henry rides his bike to school and stops by Garrett's store, instantly captivated by the odd relics, especially the glowing blue crystal. Garrett, ever the hustler, tells Henry he's starting a mentorship program on winning at life for $50 an hour. When Henry asks if people ever actually win, Garrett quips that that's the kind of answer you pay for. At school, Henry is singled out as the first new student since the school's embarrassing article about its low ranking. In class, when asked to draw a banana, Henry sketches one with a rocket. Two bullies mock him, and Henry proudly claims he is a rocket scientist, and vows to prove it. The next day, he brings a homemade jetpack to school. But the bullies sabotage his project, sending the jetpack flying out of control and crashing into the chip factory where Natalie works. Henry is called to the principal's office and told he might be expelled. With no guardian to call, he phones Garrett and offers him $26 to pretend to be his uncle. Back at the shop, Henry is crushed. He thinks he got his sister fired and vows to give up science for good. But his eyes are drawn again to the orb and the crystal. Curious, he asks what they do. Garrett finds an old manual that warns, "Under no circumstance should the orb and crystal be joined, especially not for the temptation of riches. Great danger awaits." Ignoring the warning, Henry inserts the orb into the crystal. Suddenly, the room trembles as a portal to the mines begins to open, pulling both Henry and Garrett into its depths. Meanwhile, Natalie panics when she can't find Henry. She calls Dawn, the eccentric real estate agent who also runs a mobile petting zoo. Together, they track the trail to the mines. As they arrive, Dennis watches from the shadows. Just as Natalie and Dawn reach them, the portal fully activates, and a powerful force yanks them all into the Overworld. In the Nether, Malgasa senses the orb's return. The power shift distracts the piglins just long enough for Steve to break free from his prison. Now, with the orb back in play, Destinies collide, and a new battle for the fate of the realms begins. The four friends stand in awe as they gaze upon the beauty of the overworld: lush landscapes, bright skies, and boundless terrain. But just as they begin preparing to return home, the sky darkens without warning. Sinister skeletons wielding arrows and zombies emerge from the shadow, ambushing them. Henry, quick to adapt, figures out how to manipulate the overworld's mechanics and constructs a makeshift fortress to get everyone to higher ground. Amidst the chaos, Steve suddenly appears and joins the battle, helping them fend off the horde. But in the confusion, Garrett accidentally destroys the Earth crystal, their only way home. As dawn breaks, the remaining monsters burn away in the sunlight. Steve delivers the grim news: without the Earth crystal, there's no way back. However, there's one possible solution: finding a replacement crystal located within the treacherous woodland mansion. Steve agrees to guide them on the perilous journey, revealing the wonders and challenges of the overworld along the way. He leads them to a village, showing the ease of building and crafting, and introducing them to its peaceful inhabitants. But the moment of calm is shattered as a raiding party of piglins, led by the ruthless General Chungus, attacks. Outnumbered, the group flees. In the chaos, Steve, Garrett, and Henry are separated from Natalie and Dawn. While the guys evade the piglins, Natalie and Dawn team up, fighting back fiercely. They eventually encounter Dennis, a friendly guide, who helps them reunite with Steve. Back at Malgos High, Chungus faces execution for her failure. Malgosha, the dark sorceress, unleashes her monstrous creation, the Great Hog, to hunt the heroes. Meanwhile, Steve takes Garrett and Henry to the diamond mines. Garrett's greed surfaces, upsetting Henry, who now sees him as the most selfish human he's ever known. The Great Hog finds them and attacks, but they escape using mine carts and exploding creepers. The hog is caught in the blast and destroyed. Back in the real world, a villager named Nitwit accidentally stumbles through a portal and into traffic, where Marlene hits him with her car. Feeling guilty, she takes him to dinner. Though he doesn't speak English, Marlene finds his odd behavior charming and grows fond of him. The heroes finally reach the woodland mansion. Steve and Garrett create a distraction with a hilarious song performance, allowing Henry to sneak inside. He's confronted by an Enderman who tries to sabotage him with illusions of his friends insulting him. Undeterred, Henry fights back, slays the creature, and earns an Ender Pearl capable of teleportation. Just as they prepare to leave, Malgosha and her forces arrive. She reclaims the orb while piglins swarm the team. Steve and Henry escape on a hot air balloon, but Garrett stays behind to hold off the attackers. A massive TNT blast destroys the bridge, and Garrett is presumed dead. The balloon crashes. Steve and Henry are rescued by Dawn, Natalie, and Dennis. Grieving Garrett's sacrifice, the group prepares for their final stand. Malgosha uses the orb to plunge the overworld into eternal darkness, unleashing waves of monsters. The heroes rally an army of iron golems and storm her fortress. As Henry climbs the tower to retrieve the orb, Malgosha strikes, sending him plummeting. But at the last second, Garrett returns, alive and airborne in his repaired balloon, saving Henry. The group reunites, destroys the tower, and recovers the orb. The monsters melt away. Malgosha tries two last sneak attacks on Steve, but fails and perishes. With the orb restored, the portal home reopens. The heroes prepare to return, but Steve hesitates. He no longer sees value in the real world. Natalie encourages him, saying he has something to offer it. Inspired, Steve follows. Steve narrates the aftermath. Garrett rebuilt his store and launched a hit arcade game inspired by their adventure. Dawn expanded her petting zoo, using Dennis and other overworld animals. Natalie started a kids' self-defense class, teaching techniques she learned during their quest. Henry repaired his jetpack and is now a school celebrity. The heroes reunite at Garrett's store for a celebration. Laughter, music, and joy fill the room. And that was how our journey ended, or maybe how a new one began. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you love epic adventures, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more.